Ah, yes, the good old-fashioned Disney movie. A pastime as a child that still holds a very close place in my heart, as I remember all of the pretty colours and also some of the most horrifying displays that are still nightmare fuel today. I'm looking at you, Prince Adam. Actually, I'd like to go on record here and say that I thought his name was actually Prince Eric, and I did a quick Google as I was doing this video, and apparently it's Adam. Did anybody else have that? I thought just me. Never mind. No, but seriously though, as a kid, I found this far scarier than anything else they could throw at me. As much as I say that video games are what got me into music and understanding the emotion that can be portrayed through said music, I'd be remiss in saying that Disney movies didn't at least have one hell of a helping hand in this. I was born in 1992 and grew up in the golden age of Disney's entertainment. I was pretty much their target audience for the next 10 years or so, with the releases like Aladdin, The Lion King, Pocahontas, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, Mulan, and Tarzan, all coming out before the time I was 7 years old. These films were written incredibly well and with a soundtrack to match. They were even able to pair up the songs with fantastic vocalists to perform them. Now, in the process of writing this, I sat down with my mum, who was the primary parent that was dragged through watching and re-watching these films whenever it was convenient for me, so that I could have a conversation around this, and her comments were that it really was the music that kept a lot of the parents entertained at that stage in our society, because the stories themselves were nothing new. They were really just retellings of old fairy tales and children's stories. They were able to change and add things to make them compelling, and with the music behind them, created a great delivery system in order to put across a message that was a good learning experience for kids, whether it be that perseverance is key, believing in yourself is more important than others believing in you, and following your heart is usually the best course of action. Geez, Mum, thanks for putting that far more eloquently than I ever could, but an annoying trait that I have in these situations is that I like to play devil's advocate. Take the position of the other side of the argument to get more open-minded about things. But this time I couldn't. I couldn't think anything other than...
She's right, you know.
I can remember to this day a number of things that Disney taught me over the years. For instance, and please note these were the rambling thoughts of a young child, Beauty and the Beast. Don't judge a book by its cover. You have Belle, a beast, and a handsome guy that is pretty creepy. One is an outcast, one looks like the beast, and another actually is a beast. The outcast, Belle, was kind, selfless, and just wanted to be herself. The beast, Prince Adam, I actually wrote Eric in the script here, but it's actually Adam, so I have found out, made mistakes in the past, and did he want to atone for them? Not initially, no, but through Belle's kindness, he realized that he could be something else entirely. Gaston, however, is a complete piece of garbage, despite the good guy exterior that he puts on. Hercules. Self-sacrifice. Sure, Hercules was a god with super strength, but it wasn't that that made him a hero. It was his willingness of self-sacrifice when he jumped into the river Styx to save Meg that he finally became a hero. Aladdin. Perseverance. He was forced through probably some of the worst adversities one could imagine in anyone's lifetime, from a literal homeless man to being a prince. If that doesn't show you that no matter how hard or how bad things get, as long as you don't give up, you can make something of yourself. Tarzan. Well, Tarzan taught me that if you want a soundtrack 10 times better than anything else you've released up until this point, even though your soundtracks have been top tier, you get Phil Collins to do it, because he's just better than anyone else. Most of the Disney classics had variations of these messages, and is why they have such a long-lasting place in our hearts. And it's important to note at this point that even the way that Disney wrote their villains was dark and enticing and not really kid-friendly when you break them down. It was kind of an interesting method to say, hey, there's some evil out in the world. Look out for it. But as all great things do, it's kind of come to an end. In 2014, Disney changed their focus from their original animations to live-action remakes of stories they've already told. I should note here that Moana and Encanto released in 2016 and 2021 respectively, and don't really follow this trend, as they were also pretty good, but it also should be noted that what was a company that released every movie to hit box office numbers, released 23 different movies in that time, and the ones that are memorable are Moana, Encanto, and maybe Frozen 2, depending on your stance on that one. Granted, at this point, I haven't seen Wish, so maybe that one as well, but I can't say that I've seen many people rave about it online by any means. I honestly don't want to go too much into what Disney have done with these live-action remakes to bastardize their stories so much, because frankly, I would just be rehashing the points of people like The Critical Drinker and Lindsay Ellis, who are far more versed on the medium and way more eloquent than I am. And as much as I don't personally agree with a lot of what they have to say, I can't in good faith say that they're wrong either. Honestly, these movies, I can't really sit through them anymore. Don't get me wrong, the spectacle is still there in many cases, and these movies look pretty good aside from a few bad choices in CGI here and there. Now, I can hear a lot of you saying, but Jim, you're in your 30s now. These movies aren't really made for you. But I have to argue that that's just not true. As I was saying before, when I was a kid, my mum was listening and watching these movies with me and enjoying them. She's 30 years older than I am, which puts me in around the same age bracket. So why can't I enjoy them the same way that she did? Well, my first point on this is the way that they have watered down the villains so much. Looking at Aladdin, for instance, the live-action version of Jafar, now let me just say here that the actor did a fantastic job of what he was given, despite being a very unique choice, let's say. But at no point did I look at the character in the entirety of the film and think to myself that he was evil, or even the remotest bit intimidating. Gaston in Beauty of the Beast, he was a dick, and he didn't need a reason to be a dick. But in the live-action movie, they decided to make him jaded from the war in an attempt to make you feel sorry for him. You're not meant to feel sorry for him. He's the villain. You want this guy to get what's coming to him. Same with all the rest. I should mention too that in the writing of this video, I did some looking ahead to see what other live-action movies are coming out. And IMDb mentioned that there's a Hunchback of Notre Dame movie coming out. Now let me remind you about Count Frollo. You know, the adoptive father of Quasimodo who keeps Quasi locked up in the tower because, ooh, your face is icky. The one that, as he gets older, he starts going mad with religious fanaticism and starts lusting over Esmeralda, becoming literally obsessed with her sexually. I mean, go and have a look at the lyrics in Hellfire. It's absolutely terrifying. And he states in no uncertain terms that she will be his, or she will be burned to death. Let's just say I don't see Disney leaning into that absolute insanity that is that character. And I need to remind you all too at this point that this movie released in Australia with a G rating, which is for general audiences. Honestly, only God knows how this one got past the rating board at that point. But now to my second point, which is more in my wheelhouse. The music. My God, the music. As I mentioned before, Disney would usually pair up a good vocal name to the characters they would be portraying, and it wasn't unlike them to have multiple voices for one character either. Take Scar from The Lion King, and Mulan from Mulan, obviously, for example. So Scar was expertly voiced for the dialogue by Jeremy Irons. But apparently, behind the scenes, Jim Cummings, the voice of Ed the Hyena in The Lion King, but you may actually know his work better as Winnie the Pooh, yes, the voice of Winnie the Pooh, subbed in for the vocal lines of Be Prepared. Ming-Na Wen, and God, I hope I pronounced that right, who did the dialogue of Mulan, was then subbed out for Lea Salonga, I again hope I pronounced that right, for the singing parts. Honestly, in either of these instances, could we tell? Maybe in parts, but was it enough for us to really care? Absolutely not. These days, however, rather than focus on the right actors and the right voices for the movies, Disney's fallen into what I call the Les Miserables syndrome. They cast for the names to boost the sales and didn't really care about the singing abilities of the actors. And frankly, as much as I love Hugh Jackman, Valjean was a role a little beyond him, but not nearly as bad as some of the other choices. Although I do have to admit, props to Anne Hathaway, who did one of the most emotive and incredible renditions of I Dreamed a Dream I have ever heard. She was honestly a standout in that movie, but I completely digress. The choices they end up using in these castings tend to leave the team who handles the cast recordings in a bit of a spot, where usually their lead actor or actress needs to have copious amounts of auto-tune or pitch correction thrown over their voices in order to make it tonally viable. But the irony is, in the process of this, they don't make it tonally viable at all. Have a listen to this, for instance. If you're seeing this, it means that Disney didn't release my claim on this one. So basically what happened is I had an 18-second clip of Emma Watson singing. The first time I uploaded it, they went, no, absolutely not. Second time, I cut it down to 6 seconds, and I've got a claim in to get it removed, because it's 6 seconds to make a point. But if this is here, then that clip's been removed. It's over on Patreon. Link is in the description below. Okay, for the sake of copywriters, I don't want Big Bad Disney coming for me. That's all I can show you of her part in that. And it sounds robotic and just overall fake. And dare I say, as far as my ear can tell, I honestly don't think she needed the auto-tune turned up that high to begin with. But anyway, if we then go to the ensemble around her, let's have a quick listen here. Never mind, this part got claimed as well. It's on Patreon. As I said, link in the description. There's minimal auto-tune on them, and it is such a grating auditory change for me that I can't handle it, and it just seems to be getting worse.
Waiting on a wish, holding out for someday, hoping somehow, some way.
This clip is from the newest Snow White trailer, which honestly, there's enough hate on this one already, if I'm honest, so it doesn't need me piling on it. Even if it is nightmare fuel to the point of almost giving Prince Eric. No, Prince Adam a run for his money. I should have Control F and replaced any mention of Eric with Adam. Anyway. But soloists aside, using the live-action Aladdin as another example, musically it felt like this movie had no direction at all. Like, this movie couldn't decide what it wanted to be at all, whether it wanted to lean into the more Bollywood feel with all the flashy dancing and colours, or an R&B retelling with the Genie songs like Prince Ali and Friend Like Me. But then they tried to make a whole new world a rock ballad. I'm sorry, Disney, trying to cover up that hard rock drum beat with more percussive traditional instruments here and there doesn't change it enough. It genuinely felt like each song was handled by a different musical director, which gave it the same level of coherency that the Star Wars episodes 7 to 9 had. Anyway, I have to be honest, the purpose of this video was a little self-indulgent. I needed to get my thoughts on this down. What do you all think? I'd love to hear in the comments what you love and what you hate about the live-action remakes. Are you excited for the upcoming movies, or are you dreading them? Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.